Some legends are told, some turn to dust or to gold, but you will remember me for centuries.
This is the Cameron Parker Show, brought to you by Spreaker, where we discuss everything from around the local professional sports scene in Colorado, such as the Denver Broncos.
Chris Harris comes out. I don't know if he was on the drive, but he said, I knew 15 seconds into that game that I should have been on T.Y. Hilton. If players are coming out and saying that, it falls again on the coaching staff.
Not to mention insiders from around your local sports scene. Ryan Spilborgs, former outfielder for your Colorado Rockies.
It's not going to be the 25 guys that leave spring training that are going to be the only guys the entire season. I mean, you need depth. You need guys that are going to be in your minor leagues that you may not expect.
Ryan Edwards.
You know, when you're talking about an offensive line, it's about the five best guys, right? And you're talking about the five best guys gelling. There hasn't been a lot of time for that.
It's showtime. Are you ready? Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cameron Parker Show. It is October 3rd. It is the first official Cameron Parker Show of October. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow the show handle over on Twitter, CP_show, and also follow the personal Twitter account at Cameron Parker PO. Please chime in on the text line, the Cameron Parker Show text line. In order to do so, you can create a Spreaker account and follow me as well. But if you want to listen to the show, comment on the show line. Please do. I've had a few people comment in. Jeffrey Groton has been one of the frequent people to call in, or sorry, not call in, but to chime in on the show. So please be available to chime into the show and listen to it at your leisure on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, and as well on Spreaker.com. We have a lot to get to today. It was certainly one of the best sports weekends in quite a while, with the Colorado Rockies punching their ticket to the postseason first to start things all off. Second, the New England Patriots lost to the Carolina Panthers in Foxborough. And also, the Denver Broncos beat the Oakland Raiders in a tightly contested game that should not have been a tightly contested game. So a lot to talk about as far as the Denver sports scene. And I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible here today. I had a personal matter to attend to tonight, so I'm going to try and see if I can get it to a half an hour show. I apologize for the convenience for you guys. So I apologize for that. Again, I have a commitment that I have to take care of. So I will go back to an hour on Thursday, or I'm debating changing the days of this show from Tuesday to a Friday, or Tuesday to a Wednesday, or Tuesday to a Friday. I'm looking at doing a Tuesday and a Friday currently right now. Same show time. It's just the case of the Thursday night football crew. And as far as trying to attract the best viewers possible, Thursday night football is detracting from that, and having a show at 7 o'clock is also is conflicting with Thursday night football. So, that all said, I am looking at doing a show on Friday this week at 7 o'clock. So be sure to tune into that, and we will be talking the same old stuff. We'll be talking about the Denver Broncos, talking about the Colorado Rockies. And as basketball season is starting to tip off, we'll be talking about the Denver Nuggets. Brandon Stoll has offered his welcome to be a part of the show and maybe call in and talk about the Denver Nuggets. So we will be seeing if I can grab him on as soon as the show gets to talk about some Denver Nuggets basketball. get to know what he's feeling as far as the Denver Nuggets and as far as basketball, and as well as talk about the Denver Broncos. He doesn't shy away, certainly, from talking about the Denver Broncos. I know him personally. He was my board operator for a show, but also he is far well versed in the on-air capability to be a host and talk about sports as well. So it's going to be an honor to see if I can have him on at some point when we talk about the Denver Nuggets and maybe the Denver Broncos, like I said before. But now when we come back, we're going to take a little bit of a dive away from football because the Colorado Rockies play tomorrow against the Arizona Diamondbacks at Chase Field, where hopefully the Colorado Rockies can chase Zach Greinke off the mound in, well, a little bit less than 5 innings. We'll see if the Rockies can do that. So when we come back, the Colorado Rockies talk against the Arizona Diamondbacks here on the Cameron Parker Show.
We lift praise to you in heaven, and we raise our hands in adoration. For you are the God who saves, God who reigns, God forever, pouring grace, oh Lord. We need so much more of you. Your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free. Your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free. Chains have fallen off our feet, so we dance before our God and King. For you are the God who saves, God who reigns, God forever, pouring grace, oh Lord. We need so much more of you. 'Cause your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free. Your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free. Are shaking, your love is unending. I'm on the rock, I will not be shaken. Jesus, your love unfailing. So giving praise till the walls are shaking. Your love is unending. I'm on the rock, I will not be shaken. Jesus, your love unfailing. Your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Your love is running through my veins, keeps my heart beating, keeps my heart beating. Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free. Your love is running through my veins. Oh, Jesus, you make me wanna sing, joy is lifting me, grace has set me free.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Sarah Bettinger, for the acoustic version that he sings of Veins. You can purchase that over at the iTunes Store or listen to it at your very own leisure on Spotify as well. Jeffrey Groton was a huge fan of that song. He commented in, asked exactly what the artist and track name of it was, and there we go. It was Veins. So we're talking about the Colorado Rockies. The Colorado Rockies punched their ticket to the postseason against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and actually it was the Milwaukee Brewers who folded under the pressure. It was a lengthy scenario for the Rockies to make the postseason throughout the season, but the one scenario that was huge for the Colorado Rockies, especially this coming weekend, was the fact that the Colorado Rockies had to just win at least two, or the Brewers, especially after the Rockies won on that Friday, the Brewers could not lose and put enough of the pressure on the Brewers could not lose and put pressure on the Rockies. But instead, in order for the Rockies to make the postseason on that second game, the Rockies had to either win or have the Brewers lose, and instead the Brewers lost in pretty much killer fashion. They were up 6-0 against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the St. Louis Cardinals whittled away at the lead, and it ended up being around 6-4. And then one of the St. Louis players, I believe it was Bader, knocked in the tying run, and then out came in the hit for it to make it 7-6, and St. Louis shut the door, and the Rockies made it to the playoffs. But it really was kind of a fun little story on how the Rockies made the postseason. Juan Nicasio, to some of the Colorado Rockies faithful, to some of the Colorado Rockies fans who that name may sound familiar, and that's because he was a former pitcher in the Colorado Rockies organization. And so who do the St. Louis Cardinals send out to seal the victory for the Cardinals and potentially seal a postseason berth for the Colorado Rockies? Well, none other than former Rockies organization pitcher Juan Nicasio. You can't make that stuff up as far as stories. You know, and it reminds me a lot of the story of when the Rockies went to the postseason in 2007. As far as kind of that, funny little twist of fate. You know, you think back in as far as the game that sent the Rockies to the postseason and sent the Brewers to the postseason. Sorry, not the Brewers, but the Padres to sent the Padres to the 163 game playoff. And it was the Brewers, and I think it was against the Padres, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was the Brewers against somebody, I believe, but Tony Gwynn Jr., ironically enough, hit the game-winning walk-off hit. And Tony Gwynn Jr. obviously is the son of Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was a Padre, so it was kind of interesting to see to kind of see everything unfold as far as that scenario. And once you get to the playoffs, there's all sorts of crazy scenarios. And speaking of the playoffs, the Minnesota Twins and New York Yankees are playing right now, and well, Brent Gardner has now given the New York Yankees the lead at 4-3. So the MLB postseason has now swung away and it's gotten started. So it is a home run parade and a home run barrage for both the New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins. So it's a very offensive heavy postseason, and if it's any showing or appetizer to tomorrow, well, it just might bode well for the Colorado Rockies. The Arizona Diamondbacks certainly post a really good lineup, to say the least. And now that J.D. Martinez gives protection to Ball Goldschmidt, it's a more formidable lineup, and it allows everybody to play up to their strength. And interestingly enough, as I'm just watching Urban Santana try to buzz Aaron Judge there inside, as Judge has a little bit of a wry smile on his face. But an interesting decision for Urban Santana. And it's obviously the Yankee faithful want a call there. So I think ideally, and I asked this before the broadcast began, who are some of your key players? Who are some players that are going to stand out as far as this game against the D-backs? The easy answer that I put on there is the John Gray has to go 6 2/3 innings. He has to try and at least go at least over 6 innings if he can, and especially in a playoff game. When you're an ace and you want to try and prove that you are a bona fide ace, in the postseason you have to go 6 2/3 or at least 7 innings. And that is why John Gray is the biggest key to the game, because if he can neutralize the Arizona Diamondbacks lineup, and in the meantime, guys like Carlos Gonzalez and Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado, who is now in the postseason for the first time in his career, aside from the USA baseball. This is the biggest stage of Nolan Arenado's career. And as well as Carlos Gonzalez, this is the return of Carlos Gonzalez. He is playing in a September to remember. For his sake, he helped carry the Colorado Rockies to the postseason in 2009 and was 10 of 19 for, I believe it was around a couple hits, had a home run, and had a few runs scored as well. He had a great postseason going 10 of 19 against the Philadelphia Phillies. And in fact, some might say that the postseason series against the Philadelphia Phillies may have been the coming out party for Carlos Gonzalez, as far as putting him on the map, that he is in fact a star. So will we get that against the Arizona Diamondbacks with John Gray? I don't know. But it would be a very good start for John Gray, and a good start to certainly John Gray's ace status, if he can go out and throw 6 2/3 innings and have his strikeouts carry over, because that is one area. You look at the baseball postseason, strikeouts carry over into the postseason. And when you can strike out guys, you can strike out hitters, you can strike them out at a good enough rate, you will make a lot of hitters pay in the postseason, because, well, emotions are flying high. Everybody will be antsy, and that is exactly why you start to see the strikeouts jump a little bit more. So it's a very interesting time for the Rockies, because I feel like they are peaking at the right time. They lost 2 certainly to the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is maybe something to keep an eye on. However, you look at the matchup against Zach Greinke, they are very favorable. Mark Reynolds is very favorable against Greinke. Trevor Story, when he first saw him in his career, had a very favorable outing against Greinke. But at the same time, it's a big stage. It's Greinke. And it's the stage that the Arizona Diamondbacks signed Zach Greinke for. And I guarantee you they will at least have the best of Zach Greinke. Now, they've been scuffling of late, especially Zach Greinke. But that's been out on the road as far as Greinke. So it'll be very interesting as far as who will have the upper hand. and especially for John Gray's sake, well, he is now sitting coming into this game with a 2.77 ERA just this year. Or sorry, maybe in his career, I can't remember, but he has a 2.77 ERA against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That bodes very well for a pitcher that has been pitching exceptionally well since coming back off the disabled list, but more importantly, how he finished the season. So it's imperative for the Rockies, if you're looking at some of the ways that they can win this game against the Arizona Diamondbacks, it's very simple. The offense has to come alive. They have to get to Greinke. They have to get him out of the game. They have to shorten his innings. They have to get to the bullpen very early, and make them use their bullpen in game 163. In this wildcard game, because who knows? It's a liver go home, player go home game, and so it's important for the Colorado Rockies, and really for the Arizona Diamondbacks for that matter, to get to the bullpen early for both teams, because you want that bullpen to be gassed going into the series against the Dodgers. You want that bullpen to be gassed against going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in fact, I will say this, and even though it is the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think that whoever plays the Los Angeles Dodgers, whether it is the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Rockies, both teams will give the Dodgers a run for their money. Obviously, Arizona late into the season gave the Dodgers a lot of run for their money, sweeping them and scoring a whole lot of runs against the Dodgers. So they certainly have now been accustomed to manhandling the Dodgers lately. And the Rockies were, I think, 11-7, 10-7 against the Dodgers this year. And they had a very favorable record against the National League West, which got the job done ultimately as far as them getting into the postseason. A lot of factors went in to the Rockies and how they made the postseason this year, that being one of them as far as having a winning record against the National League West and in division. And, kind of a subpar is the San Francisco Giants had a down year. But that's what's going to make next season that much more interesting, as no matter what happens in the game tomorrow night. But if you ask me, I think the Rockies are sitting at a very good place right now as far as a favorable matchup with the Diamondbacks. However, it's just a winner-take-all game. You have no idea what key momentum swing is going to happen in a game like this that could change the fate of a game. So the Arizona Diamondbacks could win on a fluky pass ball. The Arizona Diamondbacks could lose on a pass ball. The Arizona Diamondbacks could throw a heat-seeking center-cut pitch that Trevor Story or Carlos Gonzalez or Nolan Arenado ends up taking full advantage of and hits it into the seats. You just never know. But it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun time for Colorado sports, because it's now, again, it's refreshing to see a team other than the Denver Broncos in the postseason. The Colorado Rockies are now sniffing the postseason for the first time since 2009. And if they get that far, they will have the opportunity to get to the World Series for the first time in 10 years. So it's going to be an exciting time for the Colorado Rockies, for the Colorado Rockies fans, for the Colorado Rockies, I'm sure, front office, and we'll be watching intently as far as Rocktober faithful, the Rockies country, to use a little bit of a play on Denver Broncos country. But it'll be a fun time. When we come back, we're going to take a little bit of a break on the Rockies. They do play tomorrow, but to finish it off, if you were to ask me, I think the Rockies come away with a win. If you were to be a predicting man, and I'm not trying to be biased, however, I do think that the Rockies have a lot on their, at least on their side as far as coming away with a victory. So I think the Colorado Rockies have what it takes to come away with the W against Zach Greinke and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So when we come back, let's talk about the Denver Broncos and this up and down game against the Oakland Raiders in a game where, well, it should have been a lot bigger than it actually was. This is the Cameron Parker Show, where we will be playing Dance for You by Sayer Bettinger here in a little bit. Yes, that's right. It is Dance for You by Sayer Bettinger right here on the Cameron Parker Show.
Let the heavens roar and all that's within me. Can't stop singing now. Revival is coming. There's no other name. To you be the glory. Every victory you have delivered me. Don't ever stop. Come on and sing it now. Lift up a shout and praise. With all my heart, I will bless your name. Give it all to you. You're all I need. From the grip of pain, you have rescued me. Sweep me off my feet. I will dance for you. Everlasting love, oh, it surrounds me. Vindicating grace, my God, you're amazing. Don't ever stop, come on and sing it now. Lift up a shout and praise. With all my heart, I will bless your name. Give it all to you. You're all I need. From the grip of pain, you have rescued me. Sweep me off my feet. I will dance for you. With all my heart, I will bless your name. Give it all to you. You're all I need. From the grip of pain, you have rescued me. Sweep me off my feet. I will dance for you. With all my heart, I will bless your name. Give it all to you. You're all I need. From the grip of pain, you have rescued me. Sweep me off my feet. I will dance for you. With all my heart, I will bless your name. Give it all to you. You're all I need. From the grip of pain, you have rescued me. Sweep me off my feet. I will dance for you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Cameron Parker Show, one that also dives into the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, in case you guys did not catch the game, or you guys are overseas, like the Broncos Europe Twitter handle that also follows me as well. I know they watched the game, but for those that weren't able to watch the game, the Denver Broncos were victorious 16-10. In, a frustrating game to where the Broncos were in the red zone and could never capitalize and could never put the Oakland Raiders away. It was a very frustrating game. The offense was moving past and between the 20s and moving up and down the field, but could never capitalize when it mattered. But ultimately, the special teams, as far as Brandon McManus is concerned, was an issue. Ever since he landed that big contract, he's not been the same kicker. He's not been the same place kicker, and for a guy that really is looking at trying to be a weapon for the Denver Broncos, he's got to perform better. He's got to perform up to the standard that now that contract extension now shows. And so it's an important question to ask: is that did the Denver Broncos put too much pressure on Brandon McManus of signing that contract extension? I don't think so yet. However, he's not living up to the bill right now. He is absolutely not living up to the bill. And in fact, if there is to be blame thrown around, had the Oakland Raiders converted late into that fourth quarter with E.J. Manuel, then I believe blame certainly should be on Brandon McManus at that point in the game. Because, well, it would have been 17-16, and Brandon McManus missed a chip shot 29-yard field goal at home. Now, all in all, it was a really good defensive game against the Oakland Raiders, and clearly the Denver Broncos' ground control, talking about their run defense, is starting to really make a living now of being in the opponent's backfield. They now have stopped Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon, LaShawn McCoy, and Marshawn Lynch in 4 straight weeks. That is telling you that the Denver Broncos are very much improved. They have yet to allow not just a 100-yard rusher, and this goes to the entire defense, but for the ground control, they have yet to allow a 100-yard rusher. And also, if you look at it, they also, as an entire defense, have not allowed a single touchdown in the first quarter. That's unheard of. And that shows you that if the offense, which has been okay, if they can just be, you can say mediocre, but if they can put up at least 20 points a game every single week, the Denver Broncos will be in a terrific spot to win a lot of games this season. And right now, as Trevor Siemian, it appears, has kind of, again, had some of the habits creep back in from 2016, it still appears that the Denver Broncos are winning types of games that were very similar to 2015. And this is where I was talking about as far as this team in general coming into this year, that they had to relive the 2015 year. You have to have, at some point, luck go your way on some plays or on special teams. And the area that they are getting to be pretty lucky in is that they drafted a guy who is explosive of a returner. And you can call that luck. But the fact is they have a tremendous return man in Isaiah McKenzie, who, if given an opportunity, is going to take it to the house just about every single play. And in fact, now they're starting to have a ground game. They never had a ground game at all last season. And now you look at Jamal Charles, you look at C.J. Anderson, you look at now Devontae Booker, who saw some playing time. There is now a 3-headed monster in place for the Denver Broncos, and this is now D'Angelo Henderson to the point where he was inactive this game on Sunday. But still, there is that opportunity to where the Denver Broncos are proving to have an exceptional amount of depth at the running back position, and one that they had never had before. Now, the whole trade idea, I think, is dumb right now, because who knows? C.J. Anderson may not be here next year. However, I think that with Jamal Charles and with Mike McCoy and the whole offense, that's probably the one area where I might entertain a contract extension. Because at the same time of a MLB trade deadline, when you trade someone for a guy mid-season, that's kind of an audition to see what it might be like if you had him for a full season. In this case, that's in essence why they signed Jamal Charles to a 1-year deal. They wanted to kind of see how he was as a runner. Is he back? Is he moving explosively? Is he moving at the pace that we all saw as a Hall of Famer, potential Hall of Famer at Kansas City? And the answer is yes. He is moving very, very well. And in fact, I really do think that at some point, the Broncos, midway through the season, have to entertain themselves of the thought, and I realize they drafted D'Angelo Henderson. But you cannot let a secret weapon like that go away so quietly. You know, I think that as far as that is concerned, and especially look at the Atlanta Falcons with the two-headed monster back system that they have there. You have to have an elite passing, receiving back out of the backfield, and Jamal Charles can do that. He can run between the tackles. He's a guy that is also better in pass protection. He's really doing a terrific job once he has the football. He is electrifying. He's starting to get a lot of yards per the runs that he's starting to have. He's exceptional when he has the ball in his hands. So it's important for the Broncos to maybe capitalize on that opportunity, maybe thinking about signing Jamal Charles to an extension. Now, back to the game. Defensively, they did fine. However, there was that point in time against EJ Manuel where the defense fell asleep. They started getting a little soft in their coverage. And all they were doing were blitzing EJ Manuel, which left a lot of coverage and maybe some coverage that were open for Jared Cook to make a play to help move down the field. But when it mattered, and this is kind of the point as far as maybe a little bit like the 2015 season, is that when it mattered, Justin Simmons righted the fortune of last week by jumping up and high-pointing a ball better than a wide receiver. Guys, Justin Simmons, if you guys didn't know by now, is a freakish athlete. That was one of the A-plus parts of Justin Simmons coming into the National Football League as far as a safety. He was a tremendous athlete for a safety. And now you look at what he's been able to do in that play against Amari Cooper. Guys, Amari Cooper is 6'3", 6'4". He's a big possession receiver. I want to say that again. Amari Cooper is a possession receiver. So he is really good as far as boxing a guy out, a corner or a safety, and boxing them out and trying to intercept the ball. Catch a ball. But Justin Simmons, on the other hand, out-jumped him by 2 or 3 inches and got it at the highest point that Amari Cooper could never get and made the interception to seal the victory for the Denver Broncos. You know, me and Nick, obviously, I'm sure Nick Kendall over at the terrific podcast, at the Huddle Up podcast. If you guys haven't had an opportunity to listen to it, please do. It's a tremendous podcast, and I hope that I can actually get there one day as far as their level at some point. One of the areas that I said as far as that interception was concerned is it may not have seemed like much as far as an interception, and obviously compared to A.J. Derby's one-handed catch, but really, it was one of the most impressive interceptions I had ever seen. The moment, who he was covering, who he had to jump over or jump next to and higher next to. Okay, there was everything in there that said that Justin Simmons had to make the best possible jump and not be like a Raheem Moore. And Justin Simmons made the play, and it was a freakish play. So it was an impressive play, one that I certainly will remember as far as Justin Simmons is concerned. The blocked field goal, certainly, and now with this interception against Amari Cooper as well. Some other keys to notes. Domata Peko, I really feel that he is starting to become the under-the-radar captain of this team as far as what he means to this team. He means so much for especially the run defense. He's helped solidify it. And I think that both he and Adam Gotsis, and if you were to ask me from now until this year, I didn't expect Jared Crick to miss the season, but if you were to ask me as far as who would start, I wouldn't say Adam Gotsis. And now Adam Gotsis is playing like a mini Derek Wolfe. He's playing with his hair on fire. He's playing physical. He's playing a physical brand of football that I think we certainly saw on some tapes at Georgia Tech. He has a high motor. He's a very high energy defensive lineman. And you're starting to see him really come alive in the run defense and really make an impact as far as getting in a backfield. He's incredible in his strength, and that's one of the reasons why I have called him a mini Derek Wolfe. He's impressive. He's an impressive athlete. He's a physical nut. He's a physical workout nut. He's a gym rat. So I think that if you look at certainly Adam Gotsis, as far as the defensive line, he is, while I say Domata Peko is a bright surprise, he's been a veteran. He's a guy that's been doing it over time. But you think about it, think about where it was last year. He was challenged. Adam Gotsis has stepped up big time. And I think if you were to ask who's been the brightest surprise on the Denver Broncos defense, it's between Adam Gotsis and Todd Davis. Todd Davis is another one. Todd Davis, and this has really been one of the areas that helps push the Denver Broncos defense over the edge. You look at the Denver Broncos defense in a whole, and especially with the 2015 year, it was their ability to cover, ability to run defense. It was the ability to have multifaceted linebacker play on defense. That's what made Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall so effective together when they were on the field. And now that you look at it from the standpoint that maybe Todd Davis did get a bad rap, and that Todd Davis is proving to be a very reliable asset to this defense. And it makes me start to maybe reevaluate him a little bit more because he's starting to become a problem for offensive lines and for running backs. You think back to the 4th and 1 that he stopped, where I think it was against San Diego, where he just blew up the play in the backfield. That was an Al Wilson type of play, and a play that you're going to have to make from time and time again, especially against the really good running backs in the AFC and just in the NFL in general. So there has to be that level of competition, maybe that Todd Davis is actually starting to see the full potential, and he's reaping the benefit of playing with the Denver Broncos defense now for a full season. He's healthy, and we're starting to see it kind of at full blast. So, but I hate to cut it short, ladies and gentlemen. With 45 minutes to spare, But that was kind of my abbreviated, short-end Cameron Parker show. I apologize for cutting it short. But I just wanted to say thank you guys again for making this show a part of your guys' evening. I will be back on Friday at 7 o'clock at the normally scheduled time. And we'll be discussing the Broncos a lot more. And we'll be discussing the Colorado Rockies, what happened, certainly what happened in that game. Did they win? Did they lose? What was what happened in that game? We're going to break it all down. So I'm sorry to cut it loose. I just have to take a certain hiatus for right now and take care of some business. So Jeffrey, thank you for listening as always, and thank you for always tuning in to the Cameron Parker Show. It has been a pleasure, and we will be back on Friday at 7 o'clock.